Through you, Mr. Chair, I can confirm it is 4 o'clock and we are now live streaming and recording. You may begin your meeting.
Okay, thank you. Today's Tuesday, August 5th, Committee of Adjustment for the Town of Pelham. We do have a quorum of the committee, and I'd like to call it to order. Could you begin with reading the land recognition statement, please?
Sure. The Town of Pelham is situated on treaty land, steeped in the rich history of the First Nations, such as the Haudenosaunee, Haudenosaunee, and the Anishinaabe, including the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. This territory is covered by the Upper Canada Treaties and is protected by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement. Today, many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people from across Turtle Island live and work in Niagara. The Town of Pelham stands in solidarity with all Indigenous peoples, past and present, acknowledging that our high standard of living is a result of the resources and lasting friendships of Indigenous peoples. Through you, Mr. Chair, you may proceed with your introduction.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. LeGros. So we have 3 members of the committee here today. We have John Kappa, Colin McCann, and myself, Isaiah Bannock. We have Assistant Secretary Treasurer Jody LeGros, Secretary Treasurer Sarah Leach, Legislative Coordinator Alex Lewis, and I wanted to welcome Mr. Lewis as his first meeting, Planning Manager Shannon LaRock, Planner Andrew Edwards, and Engineering Technician Jim Ledsma. This is a hybrid hearing of the Committee of Adjustment for the Town of Pelham. Everyone present and viewing at home via live stream will be given an opportunity to comment on the applications being heard. Agencies commenting on applications may request that certain conditions be imposed should an application be approved. Voicing objections to these conditions will not adversely affect the committee's decision. The purpose of the application and relative correspondence will be heard, following which the applicant will be given the opportunity to address the application. During the public portion of each application, we will hear from anyone wishing to submit verbal comments or submit a written comment via email to clerks@pelham.ca. Comments received following the public portion will not be considered. At the conclusion of the discussion, the committee will render a decision and advise of any applicable conditions. Specific wording for conditions may be determined by the committee following the hearing. Copies of decisions will be mailed to the applicant or agent and members of the public that have submitted comments. Notices of decision can also be obtained by request to the Secretary Treasurer. Committee members are asked to raise your hand if you would like to speak and vote. Applicants, agents, attendees are advised that they're free to leave the webinar or the room once a decision has been made on their application. Okay, we are ready to move to item 4, approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I move this agenda be approved.
And I'll second that.
Okay, thank you. Next is pecuniary interest. Does any member of this panel have a pecuniary interest in accordance with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act in any of the applications to be considered at this hearing?
No, I do not.
And neither do I.
None from me. Okay, next item is requests for withdrawal or adjournment. Ms. LeGros, anyone requesting to withdraw or adjourn?
Through you, there has not been any requests for withdrawal or adjournment.
Okay, great. We're ready to move it along to the first item, being Highway 20, 330 Highway 20, A7, 2025.
Perfect. Committee of Adjustment hearing. The Town of Pelham is holding hybrid Committee of Adjustment hearings. A hybrid hearing involves a mixture of in-person and remote attendance and participation. The following presentations are based upon the town's planning department report and analysis. Please note that no decisions have been made prior to this public hearing. All comments received from commenting agencies and the public have been forwarded in full to the Committee of Adjustment members for their consideration and will appear summarized on the slides. Decorum. The Committee of Adjustment is a formal public hearing requiring decorum, meaning all comments are to be made through the chair. If you have pre-registered to speak virtually or are participating in person, you'll be given an opportunity to address the committee at the public portion. If someone ahead of you has made the same comments, there is no need to repeat. Please keep all comments concise. If you are live streaming and wish to submit a comment live, please email clerks@pelham.ca. Comments must be received during the public portion of the meeting, otherwise they will not be considered by the committee. Inappropriate comments are not tolerated. If decorum is lost, the meeting may be recessed and all persons asked to leave. So our first application, as the chair noted, is file A7-2025P for 330 Highway 20 West. Excerpts from the planning report. The subject land is located on the south side of Highway 20, lying west of Effingham Street, being part Lot 6, Concession 8 in the town of Pelham. The application seeks relief from Section 5.2.3 zone requirements for single detached dwelling on existing vacant lot maximum lot coverage to permit a maximum lot coverage of 20%, whereas the bylaw requires a maximum of 10%. To date, the following comments have been received. From the building department, refer to the condition. Public Works, any downspouts on the addition shall not be directed to adjacent properties, and all existing drainage and swells are to remain. From the Niagara region, regional staff have no objections to the proposed minor variance application, provided the additions are constructed in accordance with the plans that were provided, and no new fixture units or bedrooms are part of the proposed living space. No public comments were received at the time of writing the report. Minor variance test 1, the variance is minor in nature. Yes, the increase is minor when considered in terms of impact, and the proposed addition is modest in scale, consistent with the existing residential use of the site, and can be privately serviced. The property is significantly undersized when compared to other special agricultural zoned properties. No negative impacts are anticipated with respect to privacy, drainage, views, or compatibility, and the rural residential character of the area will be maintained. Test 2, is the variance desirable for the development or use of the land? Yes. The variance facilitates the continued and reasonable use of the property as a single detached dwelling permitted in the specialty agricultural zone. The scale and design of the proposed addition is comparable with the existing built form and not anticipated to impact the rural residential character of the area. The property is currently used for residential use and not viable for agricultural production given its size and use as a residential lot. The variance permits a functional improvement to an existing dwelling without introducing adverse impacts. Does the variance maintain the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw? Yes. The intent of the 10% lot coverage limit is primarily to ensure space for private servicing, preserve lands for agricultural purposes, limit building mass on large rural lots, and maintain the low-density rural character. In the case of the proposed variance, the existing lot is undersized for agricultural use, contains existing development, functions as a rural residential lot, and is located within the mixed area of rural dwellings and smaller parcels. Test 4, does the variance maintain the general intent and purpose of the official plan? Yes. The subject lands are designated specialty agricultural in the official plan. This property is an existing lot of record, has long been used for residential purposes, and is not viable for productive agricultural use due to its limited area and existing development. The official plan supports the continued use and modest addition to an existing dwelling, provided no new non-farm lots are created and the character of the area is preserved. Based on the analysis, staff are of the opinion they recommend that application A7-2025P be approved, subject to the following conditions: that the applicant obtain all necessary building permits prior to construction commencing to the satisfaction of the chief building official. To you, Mr. Chair, the applicant, Kathleen Baggio, is with us today.
Okay, welcome, Ms. Baggio. You're welcome to speak to your application if you'd like, although there's no obligation to do that. Now would be the time. Okay, I'm seeing a no thank you. Okay. So is there anybody else, Ms. LeGros, who has pre-registered to speak?
No, we do not have any pre-registered speakers.
Okay, thank you. Actually, I should have asked if anyone else is in the room here to speak to this matter. No, I'm seeing a no head nod. Okay. So if we don't have anybody else to speak to this, let me ask if there's any emails received then.
Okay. So I can confirm it is 4:12 PM, and we have received no emails, and therefore we'd be looking for a motion to close the public portion of the meeting and move to your committee input.
I move we close the public portion of this meeting.
And I'll second that.
Okay, so we've closed the public portion. Any comments or questions?
I have none. I think this seems fairly straightforward, and I agree with staff's recommendation.
Same for myself, Mr. Chair. No real questions, very straightforward and understandably so.
All right, nothing substantive from me either. I agree with staff recommendations. I think it's an undersized lot, and understandably that in these circumstances, you would end up with if you're putting on an addition, you would need a lot coverage variance. So I think it makes sense. I think it satisfies the 4 tests under the Planning Act. I appreciate staff's report and comments on this one as well, so I'm happy to support it on that basis. Okay, I think we're ready then for a vote.
Okay, I will make the motion. With reference file A7-2025P, 330 Highway 20 West in Pelham, an application for minor variance to a max lot coverage of 20%. I move this application be granted for the following reasons. 1, the variances are minor in nature, as modest addition in lot coverage of an undersized lot, no anticipated negative impacts on privacy, drainage, views, or compatibility, and the rural residential character will be maintained. The intent of the zoning bylaw is maintained, and the intent of the official plan is maintained. The proposals are desirable for the land as it allows for a functional improvement to an existing single detached dwelling permitted in the specialty agricultural zone. It is compatible with existing built form. It does not impact the rural residential character of the area, and the property is not viable for agricultural production due to its size and existing residential use. This motion is granted. The motion to approve the application is granted without prejudice to any other application in the town of Pelham. This committee has considered the written and oral comments and agrees with the minor variance report analysis and recommendation that this application meets the Planning Act tests for a minor variance. There is one condition attached to this, that all necessary building permits are obtained prior to the construction commencing to the satisfaction of the chief building official.
I can second that.
And if we
Okay, do
could
we
get
need a
a
vote?
formal vote, yes.
Okay. That's yes for me.
Yes for me.
And a yes for me as well.
Thank you.
Okay, so that's carried. We will, and approved. We can then move to the next matter, which is the consent and variances relating to 1097 Pelham Street.
Okay. Okay, so application for consent file B92025P, 1097 Pelham Street. Application is made for consent to partial discharge of mortgage and consent to convey 786.91 square meters of land, being Part 1, for the future construction of a single detached dwelling. Part 2 is to be retained for the continued residential use of the property known municipally as 1097 Pelham Street. The following comments have been received for building. Refer to the associated minor variance file. Public Works. Servicing cannot proceed until the warranty period on Pelham Street has passed. All driveway locations across all provided plans are to match. The severance sketch shows a northern driveway entrance. Regional permission will be required for a new sanitary connection. And C, conditions. Hydro 1, no comments. Enbridge Gas has no objection, and they comment that it is the responsibility of the applicant to verify the existing gas servicing does not encroach on more than one property when severing a parcel. Planning staff are of the opinion that the proposed consent conforms to the general policies and intent of both the official plan, zoning bylaw, and are appropriate for the development and use of the land. They recommend that application B92025P be approved, subject to the following conditions: that the applicant remove the concrete walk straddling the property line, provide a Ministry of Citizenship and Multiculturalism acknowledgement letter confirming that all archaeological resource concerns have been mitigated and meet licensing and resource conservation requirements. Sign the Town of Pelham Standard Memo of Understanding explaining that development charges and cash in lieu of the dedication of land for park purposes are required prior to the issuance of a building permit. Individually service Part 1 with its own sanitary and water connections in accordance with the Town of Pelham engineering standards. Installation of any services will require a temporary works permit obtained through the Public Works Department. These works are to be completed prior to consent, and the applicant bear the costs associated. Locate cards are to be provided to the town once the works are complete, and servicing cannot proceed until the warranty period on Pelham Street has passed. Construction of new or modification of existing driveways requires a driveway entrance permit. This permit is obtained through the Public Works Department, and all associated costs are borne by the owner. Provide the Secretary Treasurer with a registrable legal description of the subject parcel, together with a copy of the deposited reference plan, if applicable, for use in the issuance of the certificate of consent. Provide the final certification fee of $445 payable to the Town of Pelham, and any costs associated with fulfilling conditions of consent are borne by the applicant. To you, Mr. Chair, the applicant Jordan Michaels is with us today.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Grow. Mr. Michaels, you're welcome to speak to your application if you'd like. Thank you.
Okay. Through you, Mr. Chair, I'd just like to thank the town staff for putting the report together. The only comment I'd like to make is to have the servicing of Part 1 omitted from the town's report.
Thank you for that comment. Could I understand that a little bit better when you say the town's servicing omitted from the report? What are you referencing? You're referencing
So
the
as of right
condition?
now, one of the recommendations is to have Part 1, the newly severed lot. It has to be serviced by myself or like the company. That's not the way every municipality does it. I understand Pelham is doing that. So I'm just asking to have that recommendation removed.
Okay, so I want to make sure I'm really clear with just what you're asking for before we move forward. So are you referring to the lots being individually serviced?
Yeah, so right
rather
now-
than being serviced through the existing lot?
Yeah, so right now, 1097, the existing house, Part 2,
Yes.
is serviced. What I'm asking is that we can sever it without having to service the other lot prior to getting the permit. The content of it.
I see. So is it a timing? It's not a question about
So-
servicing, it's a question about timing of when it would be serviced?
So South Pelham, we all know, is under warranty, I think, until December 2025 or early 2026. It's not so much the timing, it's the extra expense. I'd like to do it when we're either building a house and have it done at the same time, as opposed to having to fulfill this condition now and then build 6 to 8 months, 12 months away from now. is what I'm getting at.
I see. So I'm hearing it is a timing thing. I think so. I think that's what you're saying is,
It's not so
Because
much
you
time,
cannot-
it's more the initial cost of servicing it prior to being able to sever the lot. You know what I mean?
so I'll check this with staff in a minute, but what I understand how consents will work is you're given a provisional consent. So you have to fulfill the conditions, one of the conditions being to
Yeah.
Provide the
Sorry,
servicing.
this isn't a condition, this is a recommendation by town staff
Okay,
on that board that was just up there.
I see. Okay.
Everything else looked good. I agree with everything else. It's not an issue at all. It's just, I'm just asking, and we're just asking to have this recommendation removed.
I see. Okay.
The lot can be severed without servicing it. It will be serviced at the time when the house is built. And through all the proper permits and everything else.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I think I understand. Are there any questions on my questions or what, before I want to ask staff about this, but before we get to that?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I would just like to understand better the town's position on this and why that recommendation has been put in there. So I understand what you were saying, no problem, but I like to get both sides before I kind of make it a decision in my head. So, I mean, maybe Andrew, you could, or somebody could, oh, Shannon, okay.
Sure. So through you, Mr. Chair, it's the Town of Pelham's policy that lots are serviced before they receive final consent. The wish is that lots are not sold unserviced, that only fully serviced lots are created in the town. It just saves a lot of problems when we get to the building permit stage to know that any newly created lot is serviced. Services are installed, they're approved, public works staff can be confident in that, and it's not something that's being dealt with at the building permit stage, and which could potentially be several years later, especially if the lot is sold on to a new owner.
Yeah.
Okay, so for me, I think that I understand now why it's in there, because, you know, if you do not service it and then you go and sell it, let's say things change for whatever reason,
Yeah.
now we're in a situation where the town has to, you know, manage that. Whereas if it's serviced at the beginning and everyone's on that same playing field, I think it's easier for the town and for the people that are, you know, trying to sever the lot. Okay. I think I know what I'm thinking about that, but any other questions?
I don't have any other questions. Mr. Michaels, thank you for those comments, and that's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have anybody, Ms. LeGros, anyone else who's pre-registered to speak to this matter?
We do not have any pre-registered speakers.
Okay. Any emails?
I will have a look.
Okay.
Okay, so it is 4:24 PM, and we have not received any emails, and therefore looking for a motion to close the public portion and move to your input.
I'll move to close the public portion.
And I will second.
Okay. Any comments on this?
I mean, I will comment now that I've heard kind of both sides. I mean, I understand the expense aspect of this, but I think to keep the town, the seller, and the buyer whole, I understand why the servicing kind of needs to be done. So from my perspective, I think that's an important piece to do that.
I think I'm of the same vein, and I think for the purposes of continuity of the entire application process, if we start picking and choosing those files, I'm not sure it opens up a whole kettle of fish for staff to have to deal with on an ongoing basis, so I agree.
Yeah, thank you for those comments. I think just generally on the consent and application, I think it's a great use of land. It's an oversized lot, the opposite to our last item, where I think there's it meets the conditions for the consent. I appreciate staff's comments on this, and I think it is a good residential infill for that reason. I agree with my fellow members on the servicing component of this, and I appreciate Ms. LaRocque's comments as well. I think there's a good reason why servicing is required in the way that it's laid out in the staff report and the recommendations, and I support that. I appreciate the position you're in particular, given the state that South Pelham is in the warranty period. I think that's a fair comment that you're making. But ultimately, this is the process. It's a fair condition. It's a reasonable condition. It's something that's done in the town all the time. The timing to fulfill the conditions is 2 years before you get your as part of the provisional consent, and you can sometimes even return to the committee. So for all those reasons, I'm gonna support it in the way it was written by staff. Okay, I appreciate your understanding, Mr. Michaels, with that as well. So do we, are we ready for, or you have another comment? Go ahead.
Yeah, I have one more comment for staff, and I just noticed the property has some mature trees on it, and there is no reference to there is a brief reference to the tree maintenance policy on this, and I'm just wondering how that's going to fit into those trees that are on the property to be conveyed and constructed on.
So through you, Mr. Chair, the town's tree maintenance policy is with respect to town-owned boulevard trees. There are none on this lot. It's only a private tree that's proposed to be removed in the space where the driveway is. And then there are other mature trees in the back which are to be retained.
Okay, just again, through you, Mr. Chair, just again, those trees along Pelham are not on the town property, just to confirm that.
Through you, Mr. Chair, correct.
Okay.
Okay, any further questions or comments?
No, Yes, Mr. Chair, I would just like to ask, how, now that you've kind of heard how we feel, like it's hard for us to move forward, I think, without getting that condition in there. Is that correct? Is that a fair statement? I'm trying to understand the process now when one of the conditions isn't being met, so.
Through you, Mr. Chair. Well, the committee can make whatever decision the committee makes and apply whichever conditions it deems appropriate. But it wouldn't be consistent with our current policy, which is to only allow fully serviced lots to be created, so that we have some assurance that fully serviced lots are being applied for building permits and being sold as fully serviced lots. So it would be inconsistent, and it could create some hurdles down the road if the condition is not included.
Okay. Thank you.
And through you, Mr. Chair, I just have one additional question. The draft motion that we have in front of us does not have any of the conditions that I have seen and read in the staff material. Oh, sorry. Oh, okay.
It's written a bit differently than.
Okay, I see it. It's written, okay, sorry, thank you.
I made that mistake once on a different week. Okay. Any other comments or questions? All right, ready for a vote then? Or, sorry, motion. Keep saying vote.
Okay, I will read this motion. File B9 2025 P 1097, excuse me, Pelham Street, Part 1 in Pelham, an application for partial discharge of mortgage and to convey Part 1. I move this motion be granted, subject to the following conditions. To the satisfaction of Public Works. Part 1 requires separate sanitary and water services per town standards, and a temporary works permit is required, and applicant to pay costs and provide locate cards. Servicing cannot proceed until the Pelham Street warranty expires. That any new or modified driveways require driveway entrance permits and the owner is to pay all costs. To the satisfaction of planning, remove the concrete walk on the property line, provide a ministry letter confirming archaeological concerns are resolved, to sign the town's memorandum of understanding for development charges and parkland cash in lieu, to the satisfaction of the Secretary Treasurer, provide a registrable legal description and deposited reference plan, and to provide a final certification fee of $445. This motion is made based on the following reasons: that the application conforms to and complies with the town official plan, the regional policy plan, and provincial planning statement, and the town's zoning bylaw. This decision is rendered having regards to sections 51 sub 24 and 51 sub 25 of the Planning Act. And this committee has considered all written and oral submissions and finds that, subject to the conditions, the application meets the Planning Act criteria and is consistent and complies with provincial, regional, and town planning policy.
I will go ahead and second that motion.
Okay, looking for a vote as well, Mr. Grow? Okay.
I vote yes.
I also vote yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so that is the consent approved or granted, and then we will move to the variances. Okay.
Okay. So our next application is an application for minor variance for file A92025P, 1097 Pelham Street, Part 1. The subject parcel has a frontage of 12.91 meters on the east side of Pelham Street, lying north of Quaker Road, being part township lot 177 Thorold, as in RO 701639, and subject to TH 22307 in the town of Pelham. The application seeks relief from Section 6.1.2, zone requirements for a single detached dwelling, minimum lot frontage, to permit a minimum lot frontage of 12.5 meters, whereas the bylaw requires a minimum of 15 meters. And Section 6.1.2, zone requirements for a single detached dwelling, maximum front yard, to permit a maximum front yard setback of 19 meters, whereas the bylaw requires a maximum of 6 meters. Comments, Building Department, see condition. Public Works, servicing cannot proceed until the warranty period on Pelham Street has passed. All driveway locations across all provided plans are to match. The severance sketch shows a northern driveway entrance. Regional permission will be required for the new sanitary connection, and see conditions. No public comments were received at the time of writing the report. Minor variance test 1, the variance is minor in nature. For the minimum lot frontage, section 6.1.2, yes. The proposed variance represents a reduction of 2.5 meters from the minimum required frontage. The lot continues to provide sufficient area to accommodate appropriate setbacks, landscaping, parking, and private amenity space. Maximum front yard setback, yes. The variance proposes an additional 13 meters to the maximum front yard, and the impact on the adjacent properties is negligible. The proposed setback is in keeping with the prevailing pattern of development along the stretch of Pelham Street, where larger front yard setbacks are common. The proposed setback does not create adverse impacts on adjacent properties in terms of privacy. Test 2, is the variance desirable for the development or use of the land? For section 6.1.2, minimum lot frontage, yes, both the severed and retained parcels will be capable of supporting low-density residential uses in keeping with the character. The development contributes to a more efficient use of land and infrastructure consistent with infill objectives. For the maximum front yard, yes, a larger front yard setback allows the new dwelling to integrate well into the streetscape, which is characterized by deeper front yards. Test 3, does the variance maintain the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw? Section 6.1.2, for the minimum lot frontage, Yes, although the frontage is slightly deficient, the lot has adequate width to maintain side yard setbacks, driveway access, and functional building design. The overall lot size exceeds the minimum lot area requirement, and the character along Pelham Street is maintained. For the maximum front yard, although the variance seeks relief from the prescribed maximum setback, it upholds the broader intent by aligning the new dwelling with the existing pattern of development on the adjacent and nearby lots. Staff note that any future development would be required to comply with all other applicable zoning regulations, including those related to lot area, building height, setbacks, and lot coverage. As such, the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw are maintained. Does the variance maintain the general intent and purpose of the official plan? For section 6.1.2, minimum lot frontage, the subject lands are designated urban living area in the town's official plan. The proposed built form will be consistent with the low-density character of the area, and the slight reduction in frontage does not detract from the intent of the official plan. For the maximum front yard, also yes, the proposed variance facilitates an appropriate form of intensification within the built-up area, contributing to housing supply while supporting existing municipal infrastructure and services. Permitting the increased front yard setback facilitates a design that is contextually appropriate and contributes to a cohesive streetscape. Based on the analysis, planning staff recommend that application A9-2025P be approved subject to the following conditions: that the applicant receive final certification of consent file B9-2025P, and that the applicant obtain all necessary building permits prior to construction commencing to the satisfaction of the chief building official. And again, the applicant is here.
Okay, thank you, Ms. LeGros. Mr. Michaels, any comments on the minor variances? No? Okay. Okay, thank you. Is there anybody else who's pre-registered to speak?
Again, no pre-registered speakers on this matter.
All right. Any emails?
Okay, it is 4:38 PM, and I can confirm that we have received no emails. And again, looking for a motion to close the public portion of the meeting and move to committee input.
I motion to close the public meeting portion.
And I second.
Okay, so that closes the public portion. Any comments, questions from the committee?
Mr. Chair, I think we've dealt with the little bit of contentious issue we had. I see no reason to comment or object.
I also feel the same way. I think what we did earlier was the majority of it, so yeah, I'm good with this.
Okay, thank you. I've considered, carefully looked at the consent application and the minor variances, and I'm happy to support them for the reasons set out by in the staff report. I think that in terms of the frontage, I understand that it's smaller or deficient. Obviously, it doesn't meet the zoning bylaw, but there are similar patterns in the area, and it would fit the character of the neighborhood. Similar with the setback variance, I think it's clear that for the context, for the character of the area, it makes sense to have a different front yard setback. So for those and other reasons set out in the staff report, I'm happy to support these variances. Any comments on my comments? All right, we ready for a motion?
So file A9-2025P, 1097 Pelham Street, Part 1, I believe, Pelham. Applications are made for minor variance of a minimum lot frontage of 12.5 meters, maximum front yard setback of 19 meters. We motion the application to be granted. The variants are minor in nature as reduced frontage remains compatible in appearance. Lot size allows for appropriate setbacks, landscaping, parking, and amenity space. The intent of the zoning bylaw is maintained. Intent of the official plan is maintained. The proposals are desirable for the land as it creates a new lot with sizes, shapes matching surrounding properties, maintains neighborhood character and supports infill, front yard setback aligns dwellings with neighbors, provides enhanced landscaping. This application is granted without prejudice to any other application in the town of Pelham. The Committee of Adjustment considered the written and oral comments and agrees with the minor variance report analysis and recommendation that is applicable, that this application meets the Planning Act test for minor variance. The conditions, that all necessary building permits are obtained prior to construction commencing to the satisfaction of the chief building official. Obtain final certification for consent file B9-2025P. And that's it. Sorry.
And I second.
Okay, vote.
I vote yes.
I also vote yes.
Yes, for me as well. Okay, so that's approved, and that takes us to the end of the application components of the agenda today. We are then left with the minutes. I see there's minutes for approval, July 7th, 2025. Any motion on that or any comments on the minutes?
I move the minutes for July 7th, 2025 be approved.
And I'll second that.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
I motion we adjourn the meeting.
Seconded.
Okay, thank you.